Hey guys, we're back again. This week, we're going to talk about something that I'm pretty sure everybody can relate to: writing stories. And I don't mean that book you've been meaning to put out there. I'm talking about the stories we write in our head, about every experience that we've ever had, we're going to have, or we're even thinking of having. This one's going to be good. Buckle up. This is Organically Connected. If you guys are enjoying the content and want to support our little channel, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click that notification bell to be kept up to date when we're posting new stuff. We're back. Another week, another message. This one, something I struggled with early in my journey. In fact, this is probably one of the main things that prompted me to start going down the spiritual path and fixing some things in my life because I knew something was wrong. This was about 10 years ago. I had a lot of depressive thoughts and even had some thoughts about not being here anymore. I knew I didn't want to have these thoughts and I knew I wasn't going to act on it, but I knew something was wrong. So I sought out some help through my work at the time, ended up seeing a therapist. The therapist led me to a book. That book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Now, pretty sure a lot of you have heard of it, may have read it, may have not. I highly recommend it because it really does help bridge some of the science and spirituality and gives us everyday things that we can use to change our lives. This one was about writing stories in your mind. So I didn't even know that I was doing this. And this revelation, it changed so much. I was so stressed out most of the time because I was making myself stressed out most of the time. So to give you an idea of what I mean by writing stories, I'm going to give you an example from my life. At this time in my life, I was driving back and forth from another city every day for work, over an hour commute actually. Now, typically I would just take my commute and listen to music, but I didn't realize that as I was driving back and forth, I was starting to write stories in my head about the day that I was going to have, where I was going to end up, what people were going to say, how I would react to it. And I didn't even realize that this was affecting my body, my energy, and how I was actually going to have that day before I even got there. So I would be driving along thinking of the different work I had to do that day and maybe the problems I was going to run into. And I would start getting anxious and stressed out before I even got to my job. Then when I did get there, I was already preloaded for a bad day. I'd almost manifested it. And at that point, I didn't even know what manifestation was. This also happened when I was going home, especially when I was going home. At that point, I was having a bit of problems in my marriage as well, and there was a lot of arguments going on, a lot of stress. So on my way home, I would start writing stories again about the problems I was going to run into, how I was going to be received when I walked through the door, the attention I wasn't going to get that I was seeking at that time. So I would get myself all tuned up on the way home, all riled up and ready for some argument or what I would say and what my comeback would be. One of the things the book taught me about writing stories is that your body doesn't know the difference between writing a story in your head and physically experiencing it. So as you're writing these stories in your head and you're having arguments with people that aren't even there, your body is releasing chemicals and you are having a stress event without even being in a stressful situation. Now, all of those chemicals we're releasing into our body have to go somewhere, and they take some time to go somewhere as well. So as you're, say in my case, driving home, you're getting all preloaded up on these nasty chemicals that make you aggressive, defensive, submissive, whatever it might be. So when you do get home, you're loaded, you're ready to go. And then what happens? Sometimes nothing at all. None of the stories you wrote happen. None of the things you thought were going to be said are said. Everything shifts. But now you've got all this energy built up. You've got all these responses that you've been practicing. What do you do with them? I'll tell you what I did with them. Unfortunately, they would just vent in areas that they didn't need to. I would be a bear when I got home, or a tornado, because I was all pent up and ready to go, and then nothing happened. So I gave myself all of this stress, and I gave my family all of that stress for nothing. So this moment in my life, when I started to realize this was something I was doing, was so pivotal. I wanted to change this about myself, but I noticed it wasn't so easy to just change. It was happening again and again, and I'd notice it after it happened, and I'd get really down on myself. So in the book, Dr. Joe talks about just noticing, being the observer. When we start to change a habit about ourselves, you need to do it first with observation. Notice when you're making the mistake or the behavior that you want to change. Just the noticing it starts to rewire the mind. Even if you still go down that path, the fact that you noticed it means you're observing, and this can allow you to shift and change that behavior. The human mind is amazing in the fact that it can change its neural pathways all the way up until the day we are no longer here, which means you can always shift and change things about your actions at any time. So, in this case, I started noticing when I was writing stories. At first, I would still go down that road and still react and feel bad about myself. But over time, there was these subtle changes. I would notice I was writing a story, and all of a sudden I'd stop and be like, ooh, there I'm doing it. And I stopped the story. I stopped it. And I just let go. And I took a breath. And I thought, let's just be here right now and not worry about where you're going. Mindfulness at the time, and I didn't even know what that was. So that took probably a couple of months to notice where I was writing stories in my life, and then observe it, short circuit it, and eventually come up with a way to go another direction. So when I would notice myself writing a story, I would stop, take a breath, take a beat, and allow myself to redirect to something else, something that maybe I enjoyed doing, bring myself a little bit of joy. That, over the course of about 2 months, started to change something. The stories, they stopped. The voice in my head stopped. I wasn't telling myself all these things that were going to happen anymore. My stress levels started to drop, and I really got to start observing myself in my own life. That moment of realizing I was no longer writing stories, it was amazing. I felt so much love for what I'd done for myself, and I knew that the people in my life were going to benefit from it as well. This was a pivotal moment because it also allowed me to start observing the rest of who I was and how I was acting. I was no longer just not an observer. I was no longer just living my life. I was a participant in my life. I was there. I was present. I was observing my everyday as it was happening. And I started to pick up on little things I was doing here and there. And then I wasn't so hard on myself because, well, hey, I made the change with writing stories. So why couldn't I make the change with other things? And I started observing those other things in my life and shifting them and changing them and learning who I was. And I'll tell you, oh, what a difference it made. I want you guys to feel that. I want you to know you can change the little things about your actions and the way you think at any time. It just takes practice, patience, and being gentle on yourself. I love you guys so much. The people that come in here and that I get to interact with really do make my heart swell. And I want to keep sharing that with everyone out there. I know this was a little bit longer today, but I felt the need to get this one out. So, on that note, I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. Start trying to notice where you might be writing stories in your life and observe, correct, and you might notice them disappear. All right, that's it for this week. Try and do it all in one shot. I really enjoy doing these videos, guys, and I want to do more of them. So please don't forget to like, subscribe, notification bell, and leave some comments down below. I really do want to interact with people, and I'm open to requests. If there's something you want to talk about, I'm down. Or just come down to the shop, say hi, sit down and chat for a little while. Lots of love. Take care.